This is a major week in the lead up to the 2022 midterm elections, with primaries scheduled in 6 states. Arizona, Kansas, Michigan, Missouri, and Washington State are tomorrow. That's 5 tomorrow, and then Tennessee holds its election on Thursday. There's much to follow, which is why Family Research Council and FRC Action offer tools and resources for you to remain fully engaged throughout this primary season. And you can find those at FRC Action under Voter Resources, and you pull down the link, and we actually scroll. You have a pull down the menu, and we have voter guides there available. Joining me now to talk about this and more is Brent Keilen, Vice President of FRC Action. Brent, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Tony. Good to be with you again.
All right, what resources are available for folks at FRC Action? I mentioned the voter guide. What else can they find there?
You know, Tony, the voter guide is the big one. Covers all of the GOP federal primaries, also the GOP primaries in 35 states and some select school boards. So we do go down the ballot where we can. But also what you can find there is information on voter registration. Lots of folks, there are millions of people across the country that are still not even registered to vote. So find information there on that. And then also we point a lot to our party platform comparison. What are those principles that the parties have said that they stand for? Specifically important to be aware of that as you're evaluating candidates. And you can find both a document that compares them, a one-pager, as well as a video that kind of breaks it down on some key issues there.
All right, and that's at frcaction.org under voter resources. So, Brent, voters in some of these key states tomorrow, when they head to the polls in Arizona, Kansas, Michigan, Missouri, and Washington State, what's going to be on the ballot for them? And are there any key races you're following?
Tony, there are some key races. I'll start with the federal races. The U.S. Senate is just going to be so key this year. There's so much policy-wise riding on the outcome of that. You know, as you know, it's a 50-50 U.S. Senate race. So just lots of resources, lots of time, lots of money going into trying to flip the Senate one way or the other. So that's going to be very, very key. A couple critical important U.S. Senate races on the ballot tomorrow. One is in Arizona. Arizona is a swing state. I think the Arizona U.S. Senate race is going to be one of those really key swing races that we're watching all the way up through November. Their primary is tomorrow. So the incumbent is Democrat Mark Kelly. His scores on the FRC scorecard are very low, but we'll see who's going to be his primary challenger for the fall. Also, Missouri has a key U.S. Senate race there, U.S. Senate primary. Important to have a good solid candidate there. Watching some U.S. House races, Tony, you mentioned the important marriage and religious liberty vote that happened a couple of weeks ago in the U.S. House. There are 47 Republicans that voted for that, unfortunately, and a few of those House Republicans are on the ballot tomorrow and also have credible primary challengers. And I think that even that vote is starting to become an issue there. So it's going to be key to watch that. As it should. Absolutely. It's important for, for voters to be aware of that and to be holding their members accountable, for what they do in Washington, D.C. Some state races that are very important.
By the way, Brent, let me just stop you there for a moment, because there are a couple of those that are on the ballot tomorrow. I think one in Michigan and then one in Wyoming, I think. And these are important because, folks, if you're in those states, you need to go and vote. You need to vote your values. If there's a good, strong conservative candidate, even if it's not the incumbent, but they line up with your values. The primary is where you cast your vote for the best candidate, regardless of what you think the outcome is going to be. When you get to the general election, you got a choice between one that's bad and one that's not as bad. That's where you've got to kind of begin to make some hard choices. But in a primary, vote for the best candidate. And in this case, it sends a message over to the Senate when we're talking about this marriage issue. Sorry about that, Brent. Go right ahead.
That's right, Tony. It's so important. And I was also going to mention the state races with the Supreme Court ruling and overturning Roe v. Wade, and so much of that fight now going to the states. These state races are even more critical. Governors, attorneys general, state houses, state senates. We've got a bunch of those on the ballot tomorrow. A few of the key ones in Michigan, we have the GOP primary, both primaries, but the GOP primary will decide who will take on Gretchen Whitmer, who has become a very vocal advocate for elective abortion for any reason through all 9 months. We have the governor's race in Kansas, which has a pro-life conservative state legislature, but a Democrat governor, which is important. And also the governor race in Arizona is open, so we'll see that primary tomorrow. And then, Tony, we have the ballot measure in Kansas, which is really important. They value them both, and I know a lot of the viewers and listeners aren't from Kansas, and it's kind of easy to say that doesn't affect me as much, but this is big because this is the first time post Roe v. Wade where this issue explicitly is going to be voted on at the ballot box, the life issue. And so, Tony, that'll be really big. Polling we saw there is showing the pro-life side up by 4 points, but
Brent,
that's still close.
We're up against a break, so it's close.